It's always a fun time when you can pick the brain of one Demetrious Johnson, one of the greatest ever. He's kind enough to join us from this great setup, which he told me all about. I have this great setup, great setup, great setup. And now I'm told you had to move to the phone. This is the great set. I mean, it looks great, but it doesn't seem like this is the typical crystal clear Michael Wantsover setup that I'm used to.
I'm so embarrassed right now, Ariel.
Oh,
I'm so
the
embarrassed.
microphone is even like shitty, like iPhone microphone.
I know. I know. I came down here 10 minutes, and I'm going to blame Zoom. Fucking Zoom ruined it, right? We always use StreamYard because StreamYard takes care of us, and it goes through it real nice and easy, but it wouldn't let me hook up the Sony FX3 or, the Shure SM7B mic. So this is what you have. I apologize, Ariel. I'll make it up to you. How about that?
All I do is praise you and Wantsover. Man, it's crystal clear. I got the shitty webcam, the microphone. Like, it's so impressive. This is your house. And now you're coming at me. Like, Eddie Alvarez had better video and audio with his shitty, like, iPhone 2009 headset. That's what he had.
Ariel, let's not complain about spilt milk. Let's get right to it. Let's start cooking. Come on, let's start cooking. Come on, let's go.
Fine. Mighty Cass killing it. Man, what a fight. I said that 302 was a very forgettable card that was topped off with an unforgettable main event. I love the main event. I think it's my fight of the year so far, 6 months into the year. What was your takeaway from that? And in particular, the way it seemed like Dustin just laid it all out on the line, but ultimately fell short in the end.
Yeah, I think it was an amazing fight between Dustin and Islam. And I think the biggest thing taken away from that fight is how Islam was able to stifle Dustin when he would start to get some type of momentum in the fight, right? Like, Dustin will pull his shorts up. I feel like that's his tick. Pulls his shorts up.
By the way, every time he does it, I think of you imitating him now. I can't not look at it. I fixate on it. Why does he do that, by the way? Why do you think it is?
Honestly, I think the tick for him, like a lot of athletes have ticks where it's like they lock in. And you look at all of Dustin's fights, he pulls his shorts up, then he gets hunkered down, and then he's ready to go. Like, my tick is like when after a exchange, I'll hit myself in the head. I'm like, hey, lock in, it's time to go. Joseph Benavidez had a tick. Dominic Cruz has a tick. He goes, he takes that deep breath and he's locked in. So I think that's Dustin's tick. But back to the fight, I think it was a great fight. I mean, Dustin, did an amazing job. And I felt in that fight, it's going to come down to the grappling exchange, which we knew Islam had that advantage. And, Islam spot guys like Dustin. Not saying Dustin is a one of a kind, but you look at guys like Bobby Green, Dan Hooker, those guys like to strike on the feet. And Islam has been able to take those guys out, take them down, submit them very easily. Granted, Dustin is amazing getting back to his feet. He spent 6 weeks doing that, and he mentioned that, but it's just a lot harder when you have somebody, they keep on going for it and going for it and going for it. And, that's all she wrote. And it was an amazing fight. I think that fight was, going into the fight, watching this weekend was the story. Like, can Dustin become a world champion? Right? That was the biggest thing. And I think that's what everybody tuned in that night to see.
Did he do better than you thought he would do?
Oh, 1,000%. Absolutely. I think he did very, very well. Right? I think the hardest thing is that I think sometimes when I watch the fight, there's times where Islam was up and he had to clinch, which I love when Islam had to clinch. But every single time he had to clinch, boom, he gets shot down and did a double leg. Just boom, go for a double leg and just fight that wrestling exchange, right? Even when I fought Henry the second time, I tried wrestling him because it was like, hey, I'm being successful on the feet, but, I'm going to try to wrestle him just to have him think about it, right? Even though I didn't get the takedown, I just threw that on the puzzle. I threw it in the game like, hey, I'm going to try for a takedown. Didn't get it, but he had to think about it, even though that was his strong suit. So that's one thing I think Dustin could add into the game. But then again, I don't know what him and his team worked on. But I think that was a place that he could have maybe taken advantage of Islam when he was in the clinch. He went for the body, which is good. But even if he would have went for that takedown and Islam would have grabbed the guillotine or whatever, he passed his guard. It just makes Islam work that much harder than he has to wrestle, right? When Islam's wrestling, he's wrestling to take Dustin down. If Dustin was to wrestle Islam, now Islam's on defense, and then it's another scramble to, that's how I think when I fight. But yeah.
What about that final takedown, which led to the Darce?
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. I've experienced it when somebody grabs my hands and a D1 wrestler I was going against, he was like 175, 180. and we're wrestling, and he grabbed my hand, we're hand fighting. He goes, whoa, and just threw me on my back. And when he did it to Dustin by the foot, I was like, oh, I mean, it's kind of like an equilibrium, offsets your balance. And he was able to follow up, grab the guillotine, grab the head and arm, and then transition into the submission.
Man, so we had Eddie, and I was about to ask him, like, based on what you saw on Saturday, and some of the success that Dustin had in the fight, some of the takedowns and on the feet and whatnot. What do you think about a potential fight between Arman and Islam? I couldn't even finish the question, and he's like, "Oh, Arman beats him. Arman beats him 100%." Like he was 1,000% certain that Arman wins the fight. What do you think?
You know, I've watched a little bit of Arman. He looked really good when he fought Charles Oliveira. You know, that's an interesting fight because I think their grappling cancels out each other, and I think Arman is he's pretty decent on his feet. He's kind of like hesitant for like the videos I've seen of him fight. Like, you know, he's not like, you know, I don't know. I think it's a good fight. I don't think he blows him out the water. I'll have to watch more on Arman, but I like Islam. He's fought, I think, more dangerous opponents that come to my mind. Like I said, I haven't watched much Arman. Like I just haven't, right? He's like, I feel like he's a new kid on the block for me as I've been breaking down more fights. But his last fight with Charles Oliveira, I think it's the right stepping stone to get him ready for a guy like Islam.
Okay, we put a pin in this for a moment because you're in the YouTube game now, so you love this shit.
Yep.
Obviously, you've been following this Conor McGregor story, press conference today. Yep. It gets postponed, canceled, etc. You've heard about all of this, yes? This gets you more excited than technical breakdowns now because you're just chasing them views, baby. You're just chasing them views like this. That's what you're doing. You're just chasing them views. Well, we do have an update on the situation right now coming through. Breaking news. Frank, we have the breaking news music?
Give it to us.
There it is. This is a tweet that was just sent out 3 minutes ago by Conor McGregor. In consultation with the UFC, today's press conference was canceled due to a series of obstacles outside of our control. I apologize to my Irish fans and fans around the world for the inconvenience and appreciate all your passion and support. I can't wait to put on the greatest all-time show in the Octagon. So what I reported earlier today on the program, DJ, was that...
I heard it. I heard it. Yeah.
All right, so you're up to speed. Given what I said, given what he tweeted, do you think this fight is happening on June 29th?
It fucking better. I mean, there's no reason why it shouldn't.
I mean, I can think of a couple reasons.
I mean, obviously, money's a big factor for Conor. You know, obviously, injuries and all that stuff, but you stated earlier today that it's none of those things. I think the biggest thing with the Conor versus Chandler is that, you know, I can't think of a reason why it shouldn't happen, right? Like, my gut tells me it's like, as I sit here and think about it, okay, well, if it doesn't happen, let's say Conor's like, I want more money, right? Which he shouldn't get because
it's not that. It's not that. Just to be clear. Just to be clear. It's not a drug thing. It's not illegal. Yeah. It's not drama. He's not pointing the gun at them saying, I want more money. Those are the boxes I checked. I just want to be clear.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm coming into this as all the information I have, and somebody goes, why isn't the fight not going to happen? Right? That's how I'm looking at this right now. And the only thing I could think of is maybe I just don't understand why the fight wouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, I know I'm going on a hamster wheel, but I mean, I can understand why the press conference isn't happening because you got to fly, you know, Chandler all over the fucking Dublin Island and do the whole press conference and all that stuff. Maybe that's a little bit too much to make happen. I have no idea, but I don't see why this fight doesn't happen.
Chandler was ready to go. Chandler literally had his bag packs ready to go to the airport. His bags packed. Yeah. His bags packed. Yes. His bag packs. I screwed that up. You get the point. He was ready to go. He was ready to go. And I actually thought Chandler was relishing it. I feel for Chandler right now because all of this, even the tweet, I will admit, as I'm deciphering the tweet, there's no mention. Wait, let me just click more. Is there show more here? No, there's no mention in the tweet, I'll see you on June 29th.
Yeah.
And I think that's very interesting.
I mean, we'll see. You know, at the end of the day, like, that's the shitty thing about this is that for me, if I was Chandler, I understand, like, I want to try to get him on the Mighty Cast to talk about this fight with Conor because as an athlete, you make your money when you compete. Chandler hasn't, I can't remember the last time Chandler competed. I don't know if it was against Charles or Dustin or Justin. Yeah. I just don't know. It doesn't ring a bell in my mind, right? So for me, he's been waiting on the sidelines to fight Conor McGregor. This might never happen, right? I mean, Conor like, fuck you guys. I don't need none of your fucking money. I don't need none of you guys. I'm on the fucking the yacht. You know what I mean? So that could potentially happen. And then it's like Chandler waited all this time, or it does happen. So that's what I feel right now is that, like, I just feel like Chandler might be wasting his time. I don't know. That's how I feel.
If they go to Chandler and say, okay, we need you to step up and fight someone else on this day, do you agree to it? Or do you, because at this point, you're almost like hard in a rock place. Like, I've waited this long. This is the payday that ends all paydays, right? And as you know, it's not just the payday of the fight. It's people are sponsoring you. There's all kinds of shit that happens when you fight Conor McGregor.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be the biggest payday of his career. I think we all can agree to that. And I think it's something like, what Dustin says. What is he fighting for, right? Does he want to be world champion, or does he want that big mega fight? And I think that's a decision for him to make. I can't make that decision for him. Like, what would I do? I don't know his financial situation. Da 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 da. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's a tough one because I mean, a mega fight with Conor. I mean, you beat Conor, that just opens up so many more doors for you than if he was to beat, like, I don't know, Justin Gaethje or, you know what I mean? Like, the biggest star in the sport in mixed martial arts is Conor McGregor. I mean, we can all agree on that. Even though the motherfucker doesn't fight at all, he's still the biggest star.
Yes. Oh, man. What a story. So much drama. Okay, back to 302. Does Dustin Poirier fight again based on what you heard from him and what you saw and what he said afterwards?
No, I don't think he fights again. I think when I sat down and I listened to, I'm in this game now. I'm covering one championship. I'm covering, poor Deontay Wilder. I mean, God damn, what a fall. What a fall, right? And then, I listened to the press conference, and when I was listening to Dustin Poirier's press conference, it makes sense. What is he fighting for? Like, he wants to fight for a belt. And in order for him to do that, he has to work his way all back up the ranks again. I mean, granted, he won one fight and he got a title shot, so things can happen like that again. But what's he fighting for? It seems like he's financially sound. He's got the hot sauce. He's got a lot of things going on. He's got his daughter. He's got his wife. So, and there's a lot more. Even Sean Strickland said something. He goes, what's the point of having, $20 million in the bank when you can't even spend the money if your brain's shot to CTE? Not saying Dustin has CTE, but, Dustin hasn't got through his career unscathed, right? He's been knocked out. He's been submitted, and he's also knocked people out. And he's also submitted people. I think I read somewhere that he might have an ACL injury. I'm not sure. I have to, go back. So these are miles I put on his body that's going to live in him forever. So at the end of the day, he's like, hey, I'm 35. I made a shitload of money. I knocked out Conor twice. I got 2 red panty nights. I mean, only thing I didn't get in my career is the gold. So, I mean, who knows? But I think if he doesn't fight again, I'll be happy for him,
Is he a Hall of Famer?
There's so many. Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. I think so. Here's the thing, too. There's going to be other people who touch the UFC lightweight gold. And I said the same thing to Uriah Faber about this back in the day. I was like, Uriah, you'll probably never be a UFC champion, but you'll still be one of the biggest stars in mixed martial arts. And I think that's the same thing with Dustin Poirier. He might never touch UFC gold, but he's going to make a lot more money than any of the champions that ever touched gold. And he's going to have the biggest brand because he always fought with his heart on his sleeve, right? And so I think he can, sleep good at night thinking that way.
It's funny they used the word heart. I said earlier that I don't know if Dustin Poirier, especially when he came in, had like otherworldly talent. He wasn't a guy that you were like, holy shit, that's a can't miss prospect. But I don't know if anyone had bigger heart than him. Like more like that. He was able to just like dig down deep. And Saturday was the perfect example of that, right?
Yeah. I mean, 3 opportunities to fight for the belt. Just lost it, Charles Oliveira, lost it, Habib, now lost to Islam Makhachev. It reminds me of Uriah Faber. He's had multiple times to fight for the belt, always came up short. And Uriah was always a class act about, his opportunity and not getting the belt. And when you look at Dustin, it's the same thing. Like after the fight, he was like, fuck. I got finished again. You can see it in his face. And, all you can do is respect a guy like that, right? Because it's a tough game. And all the guys he fought for the belt have been the best in the world. Like Dustin has fought more champions to get the belt. You know what I mean? Like Charles Oliveira, absolute gangster. What's the other gentleman he fought? Habib, undefeated, the lightweight GOAT. Now Islam,
Murder's
also another lightweight GOAT, right? It's just his road to gold you look at Eddie Alvarez, he's touched UFC gold, right? And he didn't defend it as much, but was his road the same way? He beat RDA, Rafael Dos Anjos. RDA is at 170 now. So the road for Dustin to get gold has probably been the hardest in the lightweight division in today's era.
How do you think Islam would do against Leon Edwards?
I like that. I like that fight. I think it's going to come down to, can Islam stifle Leon Edwards' striking game? Granted, I think Leon Edwards is more athletic and more faster than Dustin. Almost, I'll put him on the same speed as Bobby Green. So we've seen how Islam, deals with that. But then it's going to come down to, can Islam get the fight to the ground and use his wrestling and his judo throws? So that's where the X factor is, right? That's like as I follow this, it's like you pick these stories. It's like, okay, Islam, I understand. He has that fight with Arman, but if he goes up and fight Leon, that's a beautiful story. Here's a lightweight champ, a guy who's beat Dustin, he's beat Charles Oliveira, he's beat all these guys. If he beats Arman, I think he has the torch. I give him the nod that he needs the nod from the mighty one to go up and fight Leon Edwards for a, two-division champ. You see all these guys, I just became the motherfucking champion. I want to fight, you guys, Sugar Shot, I love Sugar. Sugar's like, man, I want to fight Ilya Topuria. I was like, well, why don't we get 5 consecutive titles first? Why don't we do that, clean out the division, then let's go fight Ilya. Same thing with Ilya Topuria. Ilya Topuria was like, I want to fight Conor. I was like, okay, Conor is out there drinking his, proper 12 on his yacht. Let's fight Max. Let's fight, let's get Volkanovski a rematch. Let's build a storyline. That way, when you do go up to the division, it's going to be more eyeballs, with Islam versus Leon. I'm here for it. I love that fight. I think it's a great fight, and I can't wait to see. But I think Islam, he has the pass to go either way. But I think Arman deserves that rematch. Why not? And then if Leon beats Bilal, which I think Leon will beat Bilal, then I think that's a perfect match to do right there. And then if Islam beats Leon, Islam goes right off to the sunset and goes, brother, I did everything. I beat everybody at lightweight, and then I became 170 champion. What else?
But I love when you get into the imitations. None of them are actually really good, but I appreciate the effort.
Thanks, man. I'll do my best.
The Conor one is one of your favorites. By the way, DP Volk, are you here for that?
That's the Poirier spoke. So I saw that. You know what? I mean, I'll watch it, right? But I think when Dustin says, "What am I fighting for?" He don't need money, right? Yeah. I mean, he doesn't need money. I think he wants gold, and I think him fighting Volk doesn't bring him gold. I think it's a fun fight. I think it's a great fight. But when I hear Dustin talk, I feel his emotions that he wants to be champion so bad, and I think that fight with Volkanovski is going to give him that golden token. He'll probably get some more, O's in the bank, zeros in the bank, but I think truly he wants, and that's not an easy fight either. Volkanovski's an absolute monster. So all he's going to guarantee get from that fight, he's going to get more money and he's going to get more damage on his body. Is that worth it? Right? So that's what he's got to sit down to. Like, is it worth 8 weeks away from your wife and your daughter? Is it 8 weeks away from your brand building of the hot sauce and all the other stuff, right? That's where I think Dustin Poirier is at, and that's the decision he has to make. Is it worth it?
As a fighter, you see a judge score the co-main 49-46 for Paulo Costa. What do you think happened? What should happen to that guy?
Fired.
Crazy, right? And
yeah, I mean, let's talk about. Since we got on here, Errol. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Errol One Show. I think one day me and Errol are going to have our own show where we just vibe out.
Oh, we're going to vibe out.
We're going to vibe out, right? So, I think that the Sean Strickland and Costa. I think I said it right. I used to call it Costa, but it's Costa.
We're working on your pronunciations. Like, that's a big thing for me. I'm a stickler. You had a recent one. We don't have to talk about it, but I had to tell you, like, bro. And by the way,
I said Usyk, and it's Usyk.
Yeah. By the way, the thing is, you're not just a solo act. You have a producer who should be catching this without throwing anyone under the bus. Like, there should be someone in your ear. So I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing in, Anyway,
Michael has no power here.
I'm not saying any names. No names. Okay, go ahead.
Let's get back to it. But what an interesting fight. As I've watched Sean Strickland fight more, he has developed a style where he can stifle people, right? Like, I watched Izzy's breakdown. He goes, this motherfucker's marching. He was like, like watching when he's checking the kicks. and people just can't deal with it, right? So I find it fascinating how this style that he brings to the fight, where he doesn't really have any sense of urgency, right? He's very content. He'll go there, get to the edge of the void, start punching somebody. He lets the guy run, and then he'll walk back up. But then Sean Strickland comes out and says, hey, I've never been the most athletic person. I've never been the person to go get people, right? And so that's Sean Strickland's part. Now, when I look at Costa, that Secret Juice is being very deflated, right? He came out, he goes, I don't want to conserve my energy, da-da-da-da. When you train for a fight, I think about that. I was okay, so what are they doing in their training, right? Like, if we know Strickland's going to come forward, right? And if he's going to come forward, okay, we're going to work on the clinching. We're going to work on the wrestling game. He's got Eric. He's worked with, Fight Ready. He has Henry Cejudo. It's like, guys, I can strike. I can do wheel kicks on stuff. I need to make sure my wrestling is good enough to fight a guy like Sean Strickland, who we fucking know for damn fact he's going to come forward. Sean Strickland is going to sit there and bounce back and forth like a K1 kickboxer and back up and strike. He's going to come forward and march, right? So how do you nullify someone who's going to keep coming forward? Clinch game, wrestling, judo. You have to meet him. If you're going to run the whole entire time, you're just going to lose the fight against Sean Strickland. But Sean Strickland's so good about just walking people down, and nobody goes, fuck it, I'm nutting up and we're just going to fight. I'm not backing up. Like Jared Cannonier did. DDP did a very good job of doing that. But those are the things I see when I'm watching. I'm like, I before the fight started, I had Costa winning, because, his athletic ability, but Sean Strickland, shut all that shit down. So, but the judge who did 49-46, I'm like, honestly, like, the fight was so one-sided that, and all the significant strikes. What's a fucking significant strike? Let's start there. A teep like this, that's not a significant strike. A teep is meant to keep somebody away. It's like pop, and then you move and you angle off. That's what a teep's for. So when they're like, oh, he landed that. Jesus, fuck. Don't get me started. Okay, go on, Eric. What you got?
No. I mean, you can make a case that like a jab is more significant than a teep, right?
Yeah, because there's different types of jab. There's a jab like this. There's a boom jab.
Yeah,
there's a jab off.
But I'm backing your point. The teep can't be considered a.
Yeah, the teep can't do anything. Like, he's touching him, but there's no power among. And here's the thing too. Costa is running backwards, so all that energy that Sean's put in those teeps, and Sean's on balance. It's just to keep him at bay at the edge of the void, so he can dictate where he's going, and he's stifling him. It's not a significant strike. So whoever's calling that significant strike probably hasn't fought a day in their life. Like, let me come teep you. Let me teep you. I'm like, did that hurt? I mean, it can hurt if I go boom and I take my whole body into it. But that's not what Sean's doing. Sean's just marching like this. He's not going boom and throwing his body in there and step back and looking to do anything, right? So, 100. Come on. But the judge, he said 49-46. Is crazy. He should be fired.
Yeah, and he had another bad scorecard too. Can I ask you about the Kevin Holland submission? Because he got beautiful. He got rocked and then he subs him, which is like right up your alley in terms of how he was able to transition. But I thought the fight should have been stopped earlier. Like, if the arm is broken clearly, stop the fight. The guy can't fight anymore. What do we? And credit to Michal for protesting, but I don't know. I just think that, like, at that point, what are we doing? Like, you gotta save the fighter from himself. No.
It's a hard thing because I remember when Chuck Liddell broke Rich Franklin's arm, and then Rich Franklin knocked out Chuck Liddell.
Sure, but it's different when you get like Randy Brown broke his foot. You're in a submission. You're not getting out of that thing with a broken arm, right?
Yeah. So we gotta look at the rules, right? I mean, it's hard to say, but I agree with you. Like, what was he gonna do with that broken arm? I mean,
he's not even getting out.
Exactly, right? So, I mean, I think it was good they stopped it, right? It's like, there's been so many arm breaks in mixed martial arts where the refs do stop it. I think there was one with Tim Sylvia and I can't remember who he fought, but he broke his arm.
Frank Mir.
He didn't end up tapping. Frank Mir, he broke his arm, and then they were like, oh, Herb Dean, stop it. He goes, your arm's broke, dog.
Yeah.
Like, what do you plan on doing? So I think it was good the ref stopped it, but, good stuff from Kevin Holland for being able to transition the fight to the ground, get that beautiful arm bar, and then break it. And I heard him say, he goes, I didn't want to break it, but he wasn't tapping, so I broke it, right? I mean, he gave the guy an option. It's the same thing, when you watch Mikey Misimichi, when he tears everybody's ACL, he fought this one guy, and I was there live, and he just tore everything in his leg, everything, and the ref didn't stop it. And I was like, well, I mean, it is what it is. Granted, I don't think the guy got up. But yeah, so it's kind of like the same lines of that. Like if you break somebody's arm, it's up to is it the ref discretion? I don't know. I don't know what the rule book's saying.
So Alan Joban asked Big John McCarthy about this particular sequence on Twitter. Big John responded. This is what he said. "What's up, Alan? As a professional fighter, the referee should allow the fighter all the opportunity to extricate themselves from the submission. But if the referee sees a dislocation or a break of the limb, the fight is over. It does not matter if the fighter did not tap. When you look at records and you see winner by, quote, technical submission armbar, it is telling you that the losing fighter allowed the limb to be broken or dislocated. If you see it with a choke, it is telling you that the fighter went unconscious from the sub without tapping." And so here's Big John McCarthy, who helped write the unified rules, who's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, saying, because to me, I was like, what are you looking at, Herb? Step in there. The fight is done. And then everyone was like, you're a pussy. Oh, let them fight to the death. I'm like, yo, the arm's broken. He's not getting out of that. Yeah. End it. It's done.
Yeah.
No? Come on.
I mean, you're right there. I mean, let's go back and let's look at the dislocation, right? I mean, obviously the arm is broke. So I think we're both agreeing that they should have stopped it, right? But if you look back, when TJ Dillashaw fought, what's his name, Aljamain Sterling, his shoulder dislocated multiple times in the fight, put it back in. Granted, Aljo and finish him. You look at Kareem Zombie versus Jose Aldo. I know a lot of the viewers, they don't keep up with all this stuff. When he fought Kareem Zombie's shoulder went out, and then Aldo saw it, so he threw like 5 head kicks. He blocked, took him down. They ended up stopping the fight, I believe, because his shoulder was still dislocated. So I think it's up to the referee's discretion. But I think, there's no sense, allowing somebody to fight with a broken arm. But you look at mixed martial arts, we've seen guys get absolutely beat to live in hell in mixed martial arts, and they come back and win. Where if the same fight was in boxing, they'll throw in the talent. Like, they'll throw the talent, or the rest goes, okay, we're done. Like, I'm not going to see any more concussions or CTE. So I think we have a culture in mixed martial arts where it's like, nah, man, it's either, you break it, I didn't tap, I'm still fighting, right? And I think that's what we're having an argument with the fans and everybody else.
Okay, one last one for you. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Considering why they postponed it, do they revisit this, or is this a sign that this should not happen?
I think it's a sign that you have somebody. How old is Mike Tyson?
He's 57, turning 58. By the time the fight was going to happen, he would be 58.
He's 58 years old. I don't know I don't know what his health history is, I guess you can say. And I think the biggest thing is you have someone who's 58 years old trying to push his body to the absolute limit, moving, and I don't know if he's sparring or anything like that. And I love Jake Paul. I just think I would like to see Jake Paul fight. There's so many fucking boxers out there that he can fight and pad his record with. And I understand Mike Tyson is a big name and Netflix wants to do it, but I don't think they should revisit it. I think there's plenty of guys out there that, Jake Paul can fight, and KSI is one of them. He could fight T. Wood again. He could fight Mike Perry, Platinum. He could fight Jorge Masvidal. There's so many guys. He could fight He could fight Anthony Pettis. There's so many guys who are younger than Mike Tyson and a little bit older than him that he can beat, that have a big name. But I just think him fighting Mike Tyson, the guy, he's 58. Like, I don't want to see Mike Tyson get hurt. Like, and what for what, right? I mean, that's just my personal opinion, and it's nothing against Jake Paul or Mike Tyson. It's like, there's no reason why him fighting a 58-year-old. Like, I'm sure we could find something. I'm sure Eddie Hearn could find something for Jake Paul to fight. Like, this is like the stupidest fucking thing that's happened right now. It's like, you tell me there's literally nobody out there that can fight Jake Paul that's his age, that has 8-0 as a boxer. Like,
you didn't mention Logan Paul. Are you interested in that?
Why? Why would they fight each other? Logan Paul is just staying in wrestling. He's absolutely amazing in WWE, right? Like, there's no, like, once again, why are we running around this?
Because they want a spectacle. They want something that's an event. They want something big.
Well, if they want something big, get a very good boxer that's really good and have him fight him. Mm-hmm. His skills should sell enough. I'm not here for fucking circus. I'm here for, are you legit or not? Fight a legit boxer who's 8-0. I mean, you have this discussion off air, talking about, like, in mixed martial arts, you fight the best. Even when my first fight in the WC was against Brad Piggin, right? It's like I could have like, oh, I don't want to fight Brad Pitt. I want to fight some no names. I lost that fight. Then I came back to fight Nick Pace. In boxing, you said like they all had the record. Floyd did it. Canelo did. They all do it. But it's like, why? Like, when we have the discussion that we're like boxing's in a great time right now because you're seeing the best fight the best. You're going to see Gervonta Davis fight Frank Martin. Not a lot of people know who Frank Martin is, but they're both. I think Frank Martin is undefeated, right? So I think us running around trying to find Jake Paul a guy, let's have a legit boxing promotion like Eddie Hearn give us somebody. Like, hey, who do you think would be a good fight for Jake Paul? Like, who? Like, ask Eddie Hearn that, and let's see if we can get the guy sign on a dotted line and have him fight.
Do you think he beats Mike Perry in a boxing match?
Ooh, man. Bare knuckle fighting? Absolutely not. Let's go there
boxing,
right now.
Boxing.
Okay. You know what? I don't know, because it's boxing rules, right? One of the things that Mike Perry does very well is he puts a lot of damage on his opponents with the bare knuckle, right? And with those gloves, I don't know if he can do the same type of damage because cutting the face and all that stuff, I don't think he can do that. So, but I think I would watch Mike Perry. I'm more excited to see Mike Perry versus Jake Paul in a boxing match. Netflix, full can sign it. Mike Perry versus Jake Paul. And here's the beautiful thing. Mike Perry, I'm sure bare knuckle fighting will like Mike Perry, absolutely go fight Jake Paul in Netflix. Why not? That's a way better selling fight than Jake Paul fighting Mike Tyson. Let Mike Tyson enjoy his retirement. Don't bring that man back to fighting. Let him enjoy the rest of his life and let Mike Perry and Jake Paul fight.
Well, I could tell you this. Once the fight fell through, several names were presented to Netflix as replacement opponents to save the date, to save the event. And from what I was told, Netflix was steadfast that their first live boxing event, they wanted to be Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. So they had a handful of names. They were not interested. They want to wait for that and hope to do it in the fourth quarter.
And I think at the end of the day is how involved is Netflix in looking at talent, right? Like obviously Mike Tyson is his name, but if they look at Mike Perry to see what he's been able to do in bare knuckle fighting and see how big his name is and he brings eyeballs, right? I mean, from what I hear, he's doing very well for himself, and he always shows up to fight. There has not been one.
The build-up would be great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But every single time Mike Perry has fought recently and in the UFC, he's always came to fight. He always shows up to fight. You're guaranteed to get a fight with Mike Perry. And if Mike Perry and Jake Paul were to fight, I guarantee you who's going to be backing up in that fight is going to be Jake Paul, not Mike Perry. Mike Perry is going to come forward 1,000%.
That's a great promo right there. You're the man, DJ. Mighty Cast. You can get it on YouTube. The breakdowns are tremendous. You got the pod as well. What do we got coming this week? Anything you can plug us with?
We got coming this week. Tomorrow, we got Cade Bertolo, who's making his mixed martial arts debut on One Championship. I think he's 167 on Amazon Prime, which is free to all the people out there. If you don't have Amazon Prime, I'm sure your mama's got Amazon Prime. I'm sure your grandma's got Amazon Prime. Download it and watch the free fights. And then you also have Gabriel Souza taking on Mikey Musumeci, the last man to submit. Mikey Musumeci in Who's Number One. You also have Tawan Chai, who's doing the main event. So we got the Mighty Cash Robin tomorrow. You get on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. As always. I mean, Aaron, we're gonna do a show, baby. It's just a matter of time,
You and me. By the way, is one getting out of the MMA business? What's going on over here?
No. They're still in the mixed martial arts business. That's why Cade Bertolo is.
But it just feels like they're doing a lot more non-MMA than MMA.
Well, you see, this is the thing that makes One Championship so great. It's not a mixed martial arts organization.
Sure.
It's an organization that celebrates martial arts. So it has kickboxing, Muay Thai, submission grappling. It's had boxing matches, and it also has mixed martial arts. And so each time One Championship does something, they want to sprinkle a little bit of everything. When you look at UFC, PFL, Ryzen kind of does it, but Ryzen does kickboxing, Muay Thai, and MMA. And they've had super fights like where Kyoji Horiguchi fought what's that gentleman's name? The kickboxer. I forget his name. He fought Floyd Mayweather. Tension. Tension. Those two fought, right? But if you look at the landscape, One Championship does it all. Right behind them would probably be Ryzen. They do a little bit of everything. And then you have UFC, PFL, Bellator, where they just stick to mixed martial arts. And then you have boxing, et cetera, et cetera. So big things coming, big things.
By the way, I almost forgot. Congratulations, Mazel Tov on the black belt. I want to take some credit. I bring it up, and then like 2 weeks later, you get it. I bring it up, and then all of a sudden, you get it. You must have knocked someone out in practice to get it. So well done to you.
No.
Can we get you on the? I want DJ at the Craig Jones Invitational. Can we do that? You see what this guy's doing? This crazy SOB. Can you do that?
Dude, I love what Craig Jones is doing. Me too. First, him. Here's the thing too. Like, I've always been a big advocate of athletes making more money. So I don't know if you follow IBJJF, but they just had the World's Championship this weekend. Oh my God, dude. Amazing matches. Beating Galvoa, Jensen Gomez, openweight division. I know you don't know these guys' names, but these guys are
just because I don't talk about it, like, don't be so insulting. Just what are you talking about?
Hey, babe,
I know everything about everything.
I'm sorry. Hey, stay with me now. Okay, so let's get back to Craig Jones.
Yeah.
Craig CGI, $1 million if you win it. So I can't wait to see him versus Gabby Garcia. That's going to be a fire match. But I think it's good. I mean, like, why not? I think it's smart. This is my personal opinion. It's smart for athletes to jump ship and go to CGI. I know you want the prestige ADCC, but a lot of these guys don't make money. So if you join CGI, you're getting 10 G's just to do it.
I love it.
Right? That's what you get if you win fucking ADCC, and if you win CGI, you get $1 million, right? And I think him being transparent about it, that even if you win gold at ADCC, that truly does not transfer over for you doing seminars and making you haven't made it. But if a guy comes in CGI, a dark horse, and he wins it, he's getting $1 million guaranteed. He's going to be so far ahead than the guy who wins ADCC 3 fucking times in a row, right? So, I mean, it's smart. You got to follow where the money is, and I'm excited. But you know what?
Are you in?
Me and Craig Jones, we had some talks here and there.
What?
Behind the scenes.
Yo.
But I'm not gonna lie, my leg lock game isn't good enough. I think.
Come on, DJ. Super fight.
If I was
do a super fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on a contract, so I can't be going up doing all this stuff right now. But you know what? I do believe. Hey, Aaron, why you gotta do me like that, baby? Why you gotta be all savage? Okay.
I want to see you in there. I think you're incredible at this. It's such a gret story. One of the greatest ever. Now transitioning over, you're like MJ going to baseball, but better.
And I also enjoy the gi more. Like, I did do some no-gi rounds last Friday, and like, no-gi is just so much fucking easier than gi. Like, no-gi is like, yeah. But we'll see what happens. Like, I'm in the lab, I'm training, but I'm a big supporter of CGI. I will be there. Craig Jones Invitational. I'll be there live. But as for me competing there, unfortunately, it probably won't happen. Right. But hey, you know what? I'm 38. Oh, I'll be 38 this year. There's always next year. There's the year after. So we'll see. Hopefully, successful event. They got mighty support, and we'll see what happens.
Bro, you could go to 58. That's what everyone's doing.
Yeah. How's Mike Tyson right now?
Oh my God. You're the man, DJ. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Keep up the amazing work. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.